Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm here to make some pumpkin pie truffles. I love these. I make them every year. You should have the recipe to go through it with me. And I want to just start off by saying thank you so much for being here. I haven't done Craftsy live since I think this time last year, so I'm super excited to be back. I have a bunch of new content on Craftsy that I can talk about while I'm doing this recipe. And also you can ask about some of the stuff that's already up on Craftsy, what's coming. It's all part of the Craftsy family. So I'm super excited to be back in my new kitchen. I don't know if anybody has ever seen my lives or my shows before. I was in a kitchen in Arizona with dark paneling and dark counters, and now I have white, and so I love it. It's just a really fun little space. It's little, small but mighty. So I'm going to make a recipe for you today. It's my pumpkin pie truffles. They are vegan, gluten-free, friendly, and completely customizable. You can change them a bunch of different ways. So as we go through, I can see your questions. And I see Natalia says hello, and Jessie says hello. And if I can't read them, I will. Yeah, Bernetta says hello. So I have glasses if I need to, if I can't read these names. But I wanted to have the camera far enough back so you could see what I was doing, and also read your questions. And if I need I have handy glasses right under here. So let's get started with the recipe. I have a food processor. This, I think, makes your life a lot easier. You don't have to use a food processor. You can make these in a bowl. Not really a blender because it's too thick, but a food processor or just a bowl. So first we start with pumpkin, and this is what I used. Canned pumpkin puree, not pumpkin pie filling. There is a difference. We are adding our own seasonings, so just get the puree of pumpkin, and I'm going to put everything here. I have to take my time because this is such an easy recipe, and I have some made in advance, so we don't even have to wait. So that was 3/4 of a cup of the pumpkin puree, and then half a cup of graham cracker crumbs, which you will find in the, like, next to all the pie making things in the grocery store. In my store, it was in the baking aisle. We're using the crumbs because it's a time saver. If you have graham crackers, all you have to do is crush up, put them in a freezer bag, use a rolling pin or a meat mallet and crush them up till they're finely ground. And you have a half a cup, and you can use regular and you can use cinnamon. If you're going to use cinnamon, we just cut back on the amount of cinnamon we add. Let's see if there's a question. Brenda says, hello, I love baking at home. Yes, me too. I love baking at home. Yesterday I was baking. I made these stuffed ham and cheese sandwiches with frozen bread dough. And you know, when you leave and come back, that's when you really smell everything. And it just smelled like a bakery in my house. It was fabulous. Okay, so we've got the pumpkin and the graham crackers, and then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. So you can see my house is cool, so it's firm, but you know, if you have a warm kitchen, it's going to be liquid. That's fine because we're going to refrigerate this anyway. So the reason I'm doing coconut oil is because these are not baked. These are going to be just they're going to be chilled and then dunked in chocolate. So this is a great all-purpose way to make sure they stay firm versus butter, right? So you can use butter, but we're also making these vegan. So there you go, coconut oil. Then we're going to add, so the other thing about these truffles is they're refined sugar-free, unless obviously the chocolate coating isn't if you don't use the vegan coating. But to stick with the theme and also to add like that great fall flavor, maple syrup. Just 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And also, you know, the flavor of maple with pumpkin, it's just like the autumn essence. So I love that flavor. And this is just regular maple syrup from grocery store. Is there a question? Nope. Making sure I don't miss anybody. Then we're going to add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, your favorite. I buy these big bottles because, well, I find it more economical for me because I use a lot of vanilla. And I love this brand. I got it on Amazon. Not sponsored, but vanilla is really expensive. So I like to get like a value bottle because I know I'm going to use it. And then we need half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And remember, I said if you accidentally or if you already have pumpkin pie filling, you can cut back the amount of cinnamon. And like I'm using a half a teaspoon, and you can use a 1/4 teaspoon or just a pinch. And I was going to use this, but I did the vanilla first and it's wet. So I had to use my hand. But I measured half a teaspoon. So I have a new cookbook out and there's 25 tips for a functional kitchen in the front. And one of the tips, which I just didn't follow, is dry before wet. So you measure your dry ingredients before your wet ingredients, and then you have less to clean, right? You don't have to rinse them off. So we've got the pumpkin, the graham cracker crumbs, the coconut oil, the maple syrup, and the cinnamon. That's the filling. So I'm going to give this a quick puree. A little noisy for a second. Graham cracker crumbs never get completely like fine, and that's what's great because it's almost like you're eating pumpkin pie with a little bit of the crust. So don't expect this to be completely smooth. You don't need it to be, nor do you want it to be. But you do want to scrape down the sides and every couple of seconds and just make sure everything's incorporated. This will be your first time, Renetta, making these. And it won't be the last because I make these every year. And I feel like I make them differently every year. So what is different about mine, we'll give this one more chance. What's different about mine, if you go online and you Google pumpkin truffles, they're pumpkin cheesecake truffles. And while pumpkin cheesecake is fabulous, I'm not as much of a fan as I am of like pumpkin pie. So that's why I took the concept of pumpkin cheesecake truffles and created pumpkin pie truffles. However, you can make these pumpkin cheesecake truffles if you swap in 2 tablespoons of cream cheese for the coconut oil. Now you have, or you can even do half a batch each way, and then you have pumpkin cheesecake and pumpkin pie. Okay, that's how hard the filling is. That's basically all the work. So let's move this out of the way, and you can see what the filling looks like here. Ray says, howdy y'all from Tennessee. Howdy from Tennessee. We're going to have Tennessee-like temperatures up here in Pennsylvania this weekend. I don't know where people are, but it's heating up. We're going to have an 80-degree Halloween, according to the weather, or a Halloween weekend. There we go. This really, I mean, the smell, the aroma of the pumpkin, the maple, and the graham crackers alone, just that, to me, is just giving me the fall vibes, the autumn vibes. So this right here is your truffle filling. So what you do is you cover this with plastic, pop it in the fridge until it's firm, which takes about 30 minutes because we're really just waiting for the coconut oil to firm up. And I already have one that was chilled. So see, looks the same, but this is cold. So let me make some room and I'll show you what you do at this stage of the game. Do we have any questions yet? Hello from Oregon. We got Tennessee. Oh, so glad to have a recipe for relatives who are lactose intolerant. Yes. And so you can find dairy-free chocolate, which if you want to use I'm going to use dipping chocolate. But the coating, the vegan coating, is also dairy-free. So this is a great option for gluten intolerant too, because you can find graham crackers, gluten-free graham crackers that you just crush up to make a half a cup. So that's why I say this is gluten-free friendly. Okay, so now you have your chilled truffle filling, and I have a plate that I just coated with I just lined with parchment paper because the truffles are sticky. So I put the plate upside down, pencil, parchment paper, and then we have a parchment paper lined plate. Make sure that you can see this. Let's go here. And then you take, well, you could do a spoon, but I think it makes life easier to use a cookie scoop. I'll show you what this looks like so you can see. And you just literally put them on the plate like that. So let me do, this should make 16 truffles. Any questions would it be all right to use your own? Oh, absolutely, Louise. Definitely use your own pumpkin puree if you have it, and good for you for making it, right? That's an awesome thing to have on hand. That would be something my mom would do, make her own pumpkin puree, her own tomato sauce, absolutely go for it. It's probably fabulous. So if you don't have a cookie scoop, you just take a spoonful. This is the other option. You can do about a tablespoon per truffle, put it in your hand, and roll it into a ball. But you can see the difference. Like the cookie scoop ones just are a little bit more uniform, we'll say. They're uniform. And I like that because when they'll dunk better, they won't have any gaps or cracks where the chocolate will fill in. See any other questions here? Hey, Kendra from Kansas City, Diana from Texas. We guys are all over the place. All over the place. I love it. No matter where you are in this country, though, Halloween is coming and autumn is here, and it's time for pumpkin recipes and soup recipes and things that just are warm and cozy. Which reminds me, so one of my classes launched or dropped last week on the 20th. It's my easy substitutions class, where say you want to make something and you're like, oh, but it's got gluten or it's got dairy or I'm vegetarian or I'm vegan. So with each recipe, I make the recipe and then I show you all the different ways to make it. For example, we talked about how the dairy intolerance for some people. So this way you can make the dish with the substitution. So that class is already live on Craftsy last Friday. And then next Friday, November 3rd, my comfort food class launches. And that's really fun. I did comfort foods and I did comfort foods from around the world. So things that are, there's foods that we love here. And then there's foods like Italy and Spain. So yeah, so it's a super fun class. So you see how, like if I wasn't talking, this would already be finished and on the plate. Okay. And so what you do now, I'll show you what it looked like. My handy paper towel is always under here. I've become a pro in this space because Craftsy shoots here. So these are the truffle filling, okay? And what you do is you pop these in the freezer. So first we went to the refrigerator to chill the filling. Now we're going to go to the freezer until they're nice and cold. And that's, again, about 30 minutes. Or you could do this the day before and the next day dunk them. So I have frozen ones. That. And now we get to the dunking part, which is super fun. Let me see if I have a question. Ray says, our Publix sells gluten-free graham crackers by... Perfect. Gluten-free, make it for Halloween. Awesome. And then would you need to oil up your hands if you wanted to roll them? Here's what I do. So that one was, it didn't stick to my hands because it was my first one. But as you roll, your hands will get coated with pumpkin and they will get sticky. Instead of oil, I just use water moistened hands. I do that with meatballs, everything. Not oil, water. That will definitely work. And then I'm in Quebec. Glad I found you. Yay! I'm so glad you found me too, Louise. All right, and then good. All right, I think I'm caught up with my questions. So let's talk about the two options here. So I'm going to use dunking chocolate because if I was going to do the vegan chocolate here, it wouldn't be hard in time, and I wanted you to see what these look like finished. The vegan coating in the recipe is cocoa powder, maple syrup, and more coconut oil. But as you know, coconut oil becomes liquid at room temperature, so they have to be chilled. I usually keep the truffles in the freezer, and the minute you put the truffle in your hand, it melts, which is, you have to eat them quickly. But if you use like a dunking chocolate, so I have two different options here, like melting wafers, then they will harden, and because these are frozen, the chocolate firms up right away. And you can just keep them in the fridge, and they won't melt in your hand. Here's the other option. So I thought I would try this time. Again, I make these all the time, and I was thinking, this is great. I know I love this. So let's try this. And it is, you put this container, you take the top part off, you put this container in the microwave, and in like 45 seconds, you have this melted dark chocolate. So I thought I'd try it here so we could try it together. Well, actually, I already tried it, and I have some finished ones, and I love it. It's great. So let's show you how these go. Put this back so you can see. Yeah, we'll move some of these off the cutting board, or off the paper. Definitely use parchment paper or foil so you don't have these truffles sticking to the plate. All right, so easy breezy. This is what you do. Take the truffle, drop it in the chocolate. And I do not think that we are cheating using melting chocolate. There's so many good melting chocolates out there. Now I'm using a fork to pull it out so that a lot of the chocolate goes back in. You'll see it's firming up right away because these are frozen. I'll do a few and then I'll show you what they look like. Any more questions? Okay. Joanne says, I can't wait to try these. I cooked a pumpkin. Oh, yay. She cooked one yesterday from the Canadian prairies. And they had the first, oh, you had snow yesterday. Hi, Maria from Mexico. I can't wait for snow. So I moved to Pennsylvania from Arizona last year. And I was so excited for snow and I couldn't even make one snowball. No snow angels, nothing. So I understand with El Nino, this could be a different year. So, gosh, I just find snow very calming and it's so quiet. I mean, I was born in Pennsylvania, so it's not like I'd never seen snow, which could be why I was so especially excited for it because I know how awesome it is. Okay, just keep dunking away and bring me those questions. If anybody wants to think of a different, I know some people wrote in earlier that they tried peanut butter truffles. I've done like cake pop balls this way, but I love this for the season. Let me let you see what we've got going on so far. See, because this one's like almost hard shell because they're frozen. So, any other? Let me see. Oh. Carla says, could you put Rice Krispies? Oh, that's a great idea in the middle for some crunch. Rice Krispies or chocolate chips. I love both ideas. I really love the idea of Rice Krispies in there for crunch and absolutely mini chocolate chips. For sure, you can put them right in the food processor for after it's mostly blended. That way you don't completely puree the chocolate chips, but I would definitely put the mini ones in here. That's a great idea. And, you could also top these with colored sprinkles, like orange and white and black, the Halloween themed sprinkles. That would make these even more Halloween themed, or leave the sprinkles off and serve them for Thanksgiving or any holiday celebration. Have you done this with other pie-like foods? Oh, well, I have. So I take variations of things all different ways. So in terms of truffles, not truffles, but I've done caramel apple latte bites. So I took all the flavors of a caramel apple latte and made it into like a vegan healthy snack ball. And I would bring it to cross country meets and track meets. And then all the parents started wanting them, making them. So I've done that. I've done caramel apple brownies. So I'm taking the concept of caramel apple. Whatever pie, I've done apple pie strudel. So I just don't leave well enough alone, it seems like. But you can think about the other pie, like I've done banana cream pie cups with wonton wrappers that were coated in sugar. All these recipes are on my Robin Miller Cooks website, all those desserts. We'll do a few more. I think you get the idea now. How do you store, make sure I didn't miss one. Milk and white chocolate. Make sure I'm not missing any other questions. Right. So you can use milk chocolate, white chocolate. You can do dark chocolate and then drizzle white chocolate on top, which I love. I think that looks super pretty. Or again, you can sprinkle the top with sprinkles or nuts. And then storing these truffles in the refrigerator. Not for food safety, but just to make sure that the chocolate shell stays firm. I am going to pack these up and bring them to an event this afternoon, and they're going to be fine because they're going to be cold. And I may throw an ice pack in the bag, but especially if you're doing the vegan coating, that should be refrigerated or frozen at all times, or the coating will melt in your hand, which is delicious and awesome. And that used to be, wasn't that the thing of like M&Ms melts in your hand, not in your mouth, something like that. So I always remember that when my truffles melt in my hand that it's not a bad thing. It's actually a slogan. Let's see, questions. Oh, presenting these in a decorative way. So first you get the chocolate off your hands. So what I would do so let's just say I was making these for Thanksgiving, I would add some sprinkles to the top or some chopped pistachios or walnuts or pecans, or I would drizzle some white chocolate on top. So you have dark chocolate and white chocolate. But if you mean like a plate, if you have a silver like or a cake stand, I would put them on a cake stand in a single layer. I wouldn't stack them, or a silver platter. They would look beautiful on a silver platter. But I probably this year will just put them on a white plate. I'm keeping it simple these days with just everything's just white, crisp, clean, and then the pop of the orange and the dark chocolate will really show up on the white. I hope that answered your question. Maybe a doily underneath. Ray says, at Christmas, I used sugar leaves and berries. Oh, that's a great idea. Sugar leaves and berries for decorating. And that's a great idea. And I think that's great for decorating a plate of truffles. I like to decorate my table with like holly and leaves from, fall leaves. I've always done that. That's why I'm so excited to be back on the East Coast where you can readily find those things. In Arizona, some of my fall leaves were fake, store-bought, instead of from an actual tree, acorns and holly and mistletoe. They makes great, and gourds, little baby pumpkins, make great centerpieces. Okay, I'm gonna have this be the last one so that you guys can see. So the first ones I started are already firm. These guys, you can see. Oh, they're stuck together. I'm going to show you what they look like. I have a finished batch here. Let them chill a little bit more so I don't pull them apart. Like if you pull them apart when they're stuck, some of the filling may be exposed on one side. So it's best to let them finish chilling. And then this is the batch I did yesterday. See how it's hard shell? And then, so if you want to make it decorative, then you take these and you drizzle white chocolate on top. Or again, before the chocolate sets, sprinkle it with sprinkles or nuts or something. Like because I feel like a lot of people do like the pumpkin and pecan combination. So chopped pecans would be fabulous on top. If you add some crunch. Can you show what chocolate? Yes, show what chocolate I'm using. And I keep dropping all my paper towels. So the chocolate I used, and I had never seen this before. Honestly, this was an impulse purchase and I tested it yesterday because I usually do this. This would be like but I knew what this was going to be. I mean, I knew how this was going to melt. It's great for melt, dip, chill, enjoy. It's what it says around the back. It's fabulous. But I thought this would be a really great option if it worked, because it's time saving. You don't have to dirty a bowl. You can just do it right in the microwave. You'll need 1.5 of these for this recipe, about 3/4 of a bag of this. And again, if you want to make the vegan coating, that is just cocoa powder, unsweetened coconut oil, and maple syrup. And it's a vegan vegan shell that does firm up in the freezer, but not hard like that. Virginia asks, can you use a mixer? Oh wait, let me make sure I don't miss any. Okay. Rachel, could you make French silk pie? Oh gosh, why not? French silk pie truffles. So when I'm making, like if you have to think about what would be like a thickener. So for like pumpkin pie, I use the graham crackers. For the pumpkin cheesecake, there's cream cheese. So you always think about, and I know with cake pop truffles, there's icing. So think about what's going to be a binder. That sounds fabulous. Can you use a mixer? Yes, you can use, you mean instead of a food processor? Absolutely. The point is really just to blend, and the graham cracker crumbs are already crumbs. If you are using regular graham crackers and crushing them yourself, then make sure they're finely ground before using a mixer, or you could even just do this in a bowl. No need for either a food processor or a mixer, just to make sure they're finely ground. Of course, it's not the worst if you get a little bit of graham cracker in your truffle, but the point is to also help it hold together. So, but yes, absolutely. I'm with you sometimes, like having to clean the food processor. I always make sure that I really need it because I really don't want to have to clean it. So it's horrible. Love to cook, but the cleaning part. Bonnie says you made it look, well, it really is. It really is. Brenna says it really is easy, which is why I was like, when Craftsy said, can you think of something easy or simple was the word used, simple dessert. I was thinking, well, it really doesn't get more simple than this. And then there's so many ways you can change it up. So gluten-free, vegan, hard shell, white shell, milk chocolate shell, adding some accoutrements on top, to festoon them with things to make them fancier, to bring to a friend's house for a holiday gathering or game day. I mean, I think they're just as welcome at game. I'm bringing them literally to a cross-country meet tonight. I'm going to put them in a bag and I'm going to bring them to the parents who are watching their kids run. And so equally welcome at a fall sporting event too, I think. Let's see. Brenda said, oh, I got that one. Hillary asks, how many truffles do you think you could make out of the baker's coating? Okay, so I think, to be fair, 12. That's why I said you need 1.5 of these, because the recipe makes 16 truffles. So there's a little left in there, and I did 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yes. Yeah. So get 2 of these if you're making one batch. The other cool thing about this recipe is you can double and triple it. So a whole can is about doubling the recipe. So then you just have a cup of the graham cracker crumbs, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, 4 of the, so you can make 32, you can make 50 of these truffles, and you know how easy they are. So you can just, I'm going to keep some, what I don't bring tonight, going to stay in the freezer. So I always kind of have it on hand. I have new neighbors that have been helping me with packages and stuff when I'm not here. And so I love to have little treats that I can put into a little container and drop off at a neighbor's house as a thank you. I do it like things like this, and my banana bread I just did the other day. So I think it's good to have these on hand. And then when a sweet craving strikes at 9 p.m., 1 truffle will do the trick, and you have it right there at your fingertips in the freezer or the fridge. So let me see. I think Mel asks, can you make them smaller? Well, I think you could, and this is like standard truffle size, but absolutely, and you would get twice as many out of it. You would be more like marble size, I guess, right? So let's just take, these are still kind of frozen. Let's just see how big it is. That was too frozen, it fell apart. Let's do this guy. So it would be about 1/2 tablespoon. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a nice little bite-sized, more like a large peanut M&M, perhaps. So it's really your call. If you think that truffle size is firm yet, yeah. If you think that's too big, this is like standard. But again, there are no rules at all. So yes, make them half as big, and you'll need more chocolate because there'll be more coating needed. Definitely you'll go through 2 of these and probably a whole bag of that. What other questions? Oh, cool. I've never seen the graham cracker crumbs. Oh, yes. Time saver. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but in a recipe like this, why not? And now I have this 1/2 box that I can use for something else. There's all kinds of different recipes that you can use with them, or you could just make all the truffles with the whole box. But yeah, having this on hand is a time saver. But if you want to use gluten-free graham crackers or cinnamon graham crackers, there's chocolate graham crackers. Those would be awesome as well. Then you just mash them up. You can mash them up in the food processor, or you can put them in a freezer bag and mash them with a meat mallet or a rolling pin to get the fine crumbs. And you can change these a bunch of different ways. Imagine chocolate graham crackers with pumpkin. That would be delicious. They even have like Teddy Grahams that you can grind up. So that works too. Oh, looks like all the questions. No more questions for me. Let me remind you guys, and I am doing another live in November, a comfort food meal. So I hope you join me for that. And if I can answer, if you think of something after we're finished, send the questions and I'll get to them. You can find my website, Robin Miller Cooks. You can reach out to me there with any questions. My Craftsy content, you'll find just Robin Miller. I have a lot of shows on there, and the new one is easy substitutions. And then next week comes up comfort foods. And there's more coming. I have another show that I did too, and a whole bunch of short recipes. So if there are no more questions, last chance. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you make these, and if you do, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe show me how you fancied them up a little bit if you want to, since those were some of the questions, or how you changed them to suit you and your family and your friends' needs. So thank you again. I appreciate it. Love this Craftsy family. I love when we can cook together.